Hi, I'm Deborah from the scene. It's a place where sisters are saluted, educated, empowered, and nurtured. And welcome to the show. I have the lovely Dr. Denise Perryman with me today. And you know how we do it here? First thing we're going to do is we're going to let her introduce herself to us.
Hello, Sandra, and thank you for inviting me.
I am so excited to talk to you about this topic.
I am excited to be here.
I'm glad.
My name is Denise Perryman, Dr. Denise Perryman.
Doctor.
I am a retired public school educator. I spent 34 years in the public school system. Of course, I first started as a teacher, and then I progressed to an administrator. I ended my career as an elementary school principal
Okay.
here in Columbus, Georgia.
What school were you at?
I was at Dawson Elementary School
Okay.
for 14 years as the principal,
Okay.
and I thoroughly enjoyed it. When I was in the classroom, I was a fifth grade teacher,
Okay.
and I really enjoyed the fifth grade kids. A lot of people don't like the upper level elementary
Okay.
if they're in elementary, but I really enjoyed them because they were somewhat independent, but then they could still be so sweet, and they wanted to please you and everything. So I always really enjoyed the fifth grade students.
Oh,
Really.
wow. So, do you have any kids of your own?
No, I don't have any of my own, but I have nieces and nephews and other children that I have been around for most of their lives or all of their lives, godchildren, and of course the students that I had as a teacher and as a principal.
Oh, that makes me think of Oprah. She says that she thinks if she had had kids, that her life would have been different. She would have been able to do as much as she did, even though she's not saying that she didn't. And I hope I'm quoting you right, Oprah. In my head, like somebody else used to say, you watching the show, so Oprah, if I'm wrong, just call me and let me know, okay? But okay, so what we're here. When I heard about what you do, it was so interesting to me, and I feel like it's so important. So, would you tell our audience what job? This is what you did after school, after schooling. So, what do you do now?
Well, after 34 years in the school system, like I said, I did retire, and I was out for about a year, and I, wanted to spend more time with my father because my mother was predeceased him, and so that was a way for me to spend some time with him. He was kind of ailing, but his health started to improve, and then I'm the kind of person I don't sit still. I don't
Okay.
sit still. And I felt like there was still a lot that I could do and contribute. And so one day I was looking around just on different websites, and I don't know how or why the Department of Corrections came to me. And so I looked on their website, and they had a teacher vacancy.
Okay. All righty.
And I said, well, I know how to teach. And
Okay.
so I completed the application, and just so happened, I think I got it in right in the nick of time before the application period closed. And they called me for an interview, and I was hired, and I didn't know what to expect. I had never been inside a jail or prison or anything.
Okay, so you're there. So you were teaching the guards or the. So what did you do?
I am teaching adult male offenders in a medium security prison here in
Okay.
Columbus, Georgia. It is a state prison.
Okay, and you're teaching them what?
We teach all subject areas because they're in class in preparation to attain their GED
Okay, that's
diplomas.
what I was trying to get at. So I know they used to have. Is there funding for that now?
Yes, it is. It's funded through the Georgia Department of Corrections because, as in any agency and a state agency, they have their different departments. So the Department of Corrections is just one part of the whole Georgia state makeup.
Okay.
And so each department gets their own particular funding, and the Department of Correction gets its funding. And so they have different areas that they allot funds to. And so academic education is one part of that, along with another section that aligns with the education, and it's called reentry. So we work hand in hand. The academic department and the Department of Reentry work together.
Okay. So what is reentry? I mean,
Reentry, the Department of Reentry, or anything related to reentry within corrections, the purpose is to prepare the offender to reenter
okay.
society in a positive manner.
Okay. I don't know why I'm thinking. Is it for someone who's been to prison and going back? This makes much more sense.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And the thing is, I came into corrections. Um, there was, from my standpoint, very little funding as far as the academic part. And I can say that because I know what materials and supplies were available. And so, under the governorship of Governor Nathan Deal, when he was governor of
Okay.
Georgia, he really saw the need to beef up the academic part of corrections. And so, a lot more funding through the Georgia legislature was approved to come into the facilities in the state of Georgia,
Okay.
the state facilities, the transitional centers, and other departments that, assist offenders.
Because I think with a lot of us, that's why, is that one of the reasons that crime is so hard? Do you find a large number of people that don't have their GED? I mean, I know what other, I don't know if you know, but what are the statistics?
Statistically, I'm not sure. I can only
Okay.
speak from within our facility.
Okay.
And when I first came in, because I've been doing this 8.5, going on 9 years, since
Oh,
2014.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been there a while. So what have you found from your experience? Is there a lot of
From
prisoners
my
there that don't have their GED, that didn't finish high
Yeah.
school?
And over the years that I've been doing it, I'm, noticing that our offenders are getting younger, unfortunately. And if they're getting younger, then they're offending while they are still in school, in middle school, high school. Yeah.
So, but they wouldn't go to prison, right? Would
No,
you?
no. In the state of Georgia, I know one facility that we have that because we have our DJJ agencies, Department of Juvenile Justice,
Yes.
and they are sent there
Okay, that's
until
what
they
I
reach a
thought.
certain age.
Then they'll transfer.
Then they'll transfer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So I know you've met a lot of prisoners. You said you've been doing this for since
almost.
2014. So are there any commonalities that you find among these young men? I mean, I know you're not, that's not your field of study, but is there something that you find that you notice about these young men? The reason I'm asking this question is because I know there are a lot of parents out there that don't know what to do, that are trying to get their kids away from gangs or just from doing the wrong thing that can land them in prison, because no loving parents wants that for their child. So
Of
have you
course
found
not.
any commonalities, or is there anything, do they talk to you sometimes?
A lot of times they will because the way the process works for
Okay.
them to even enter an education within our uh, facility system.
Okay.
When they come in as what is called a new arrival, they will go through orientation with the counselors. And through orientation, the counselors will kind of map out what their case plan is going to be. And some of them, according to their case plan, will have to take certain classes that the counselors teach. And then the counselors will let them know, that education is available. And some of
Okay.
them may even have that as a suggestion, maybe from their sentencing.
Okay.
This is a need because the needs will come up when they first enter the system. An assessment is done of what they need. And if they don't have a high school diploma, any type of education as far as that goes, then that's what they're referred for.
Okay. And that's how you meet them.
And
And
then, yeah.
it's not. Is it mandatory? It's not
No,
mandatory.
it's
It's
not
you have a
mandatory, but
choice
it's
directly.
strongly encouraged and
Okay.
suggested. Yeah. Because anything, and what I tell the guys when they come and talk with me about education,
Okay.
that anything that you can do from a positive standpoint is good and it's benefiting you.
And
Does it also help them do that quicker?
I don't know. They have what they
okay.
call pig points, and I think there's some type of incentive points. If they're in education, they may get so many points. Those that qualify,
Okay.
not everyone will qualify, and then they may get a few months, reduced from the sentence.
Okay. Because I'm wondering, can anybody, or does it have to be a minor offense for them to take the
The
GED
classes, oh,
courses? So
anyone can. If they um, say that they're interested, anyone can be in the classes.
so even if they were convicted of murder or something that's okay.
Yeah, my students range all areas.
Okay.
One of my questions I asked you because we spoke before this was, I was like, were you afraid your first time going into a prison? I went into one
Yeah.
in high school. What was the college for criminal justice? I was in criminal justice class, and I think I was a little nervous. But the one I went to, and I had it was more like a dormitory. It wasn't like the ones I see in the
On TV.
movies, where there are these
Yeah,
bars,
yeah,
and
clang clang,
I
yeah.
guess maybe that's old.
I would think so because I was nervous
Okay.
um, because it was just a new environment for me.
Uh huh.
I wasn't afraid. I guess I didn't have sense enough to be afraid. And because people ask me, the first question they'll ask is, "How did I even come to do that?" And are you afraid? And I
Okay.
just always tell them, if I had been afraid, I would not have done it. You can't do it and be afraid. I just felt like I know what I'm doing. I'm an educator. I know how to
Yes.
teach, and there's a need here for that,
And they want to
and
learn.
they want to learn, and that's a way to me, helping our community also,
Yes,
because if they're coming
definitely.
in with this need as far as education, and I'm just a real firm believer in education, and hopefully once they go back home, that they will be better prepared to be in a community and to make positive contributions to their communities and to their families.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons I wanted you on here because I didn't know that organization exists, but I know hopefully that maybe someone's out there watching and their son or somebody that they know may be in this position and they may have decided, well, I don't want to go and get my GED, but you can be like, son, you're here, do something positive. And I know I'm not the only one that didn't know that opportunity was there. So
One
my
thing like if you're there and you know someone who unfortunately a lot of us know someone that's in prison, let them know about this opportunity. They already know and decided not to, but I feel like let them know that, son, well, because you got
Daughter,
a male
yeah, I have
present, but
male.
you could be a daughter, but, take advantage of any opportunities that is given to you. I would like to hear. Do you have some stories of? I know of one you told me about, but would you like to
Well,
tell about him?
well,
Or
we always have stories.
okay,
Every day is an interesting day, and and my students range from age of 18 to in their 70s.
wow,
And I have one older gentleman. He's in his 70s, and he comes every day. And there are four tests that they have to pass in order to get their GED.
okay,
It's math, social studies, reading language arts, and science.
okay.
And so he has passed two of the four.
Oh, okay,
And and we really make a big deal about him being successful because if he can do it, what's to keep these 20 somethings from not coming in getting theirs? And I did have a student, and I think this is the one that you're alluding to, who kept, I mean, he struggled and struggled, and he was in class for about 6 years, 6 or 7 years.
okay,
And he finally, started passing some classes. And he got down to the last class, and that was the last subject, which was the reading section, reading language arts, where you read reading comprehension, language arts, and writing. And he struggled and struggled and struggled, and come to find out just from having discussions with him that he had had a stroke while being incarcerated.
oh, okay,
And he just casually told me that, Dr. Perriman, it's just hard for me to stay focused. And sometimes, since I had my stroke, all these different things were happening.
and you like a stroke, like
Yeah.
you never knew.
And I never knew. I never
Okay,
knew because he didn't present any after effects.
okay,
But I did find out that I could get him what's called an accommodation because of that, because that hampered him as far as his cognition. And so we were able to get an accommodation for him for extra time. So he
okay,
would get the allotted time plus half of that.
okay,
And then I found out we started allowing them to take paper tests because the test
okay,
is on the computer. But then a couple of years or so ago, they started allowing us to do the paper test, the old-fashioned paper test,
okay.
which really works well, I found, with our older offenders and with someone in his position. So when he took the paper test, the first time he took it, he passed.
I had an incident not like that, but that is awesome. But I was taking the driver's license test in Maryland, and we weren't into computers back then, and I had to take it on there, and I wouldn't pass it. So I was like, take the written test. Took it, passed it with ease. So it makes a difference what you grow up like these kids today.
Oh, that's,
It's nothing to them, but back in the day,
yeah.
we didn't. I took a typing class on a
A
typewriter. So
typewriter.
yeah, I'm telling my age, but
Yeah.
that's the difference, and that made a difference.
That made a world of difference. And he had become what we call orderlies in the administration area, where he would go into the office areas where the warden and other administrators are. So he was like in charge of the cleaning and everything. So everybody within the facility knew him, and everybody was rooting for him to pass. And everybody was saying, "Well, Dr. Perriman, how can we help him?" Da 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 da. And and so when he passed, it was just like a whole area celebration. And then when we have graduation, we have a graduation once a year
Oh, okay.
with caps and gowns. It's a formal program. We have a speaker to come in, and then we have a really nice meal for them.
Are the family allowed to?
So many of the family, like one or
Okay.
two
Well,
family
that is
members.
so awesome. And And I know it has to be rewarding. I was thinking, have you had some that once they've left to come back and
No,
talk to
not since
you?
I've been there.
Okay.
Not since
I don't mean come back to prison, but
but just
come
to,
back and thank you or anything
now
like
that,
that.
yeah, they have called. Some have
Okay.
called back, and there's some that didn't complete their program, but they may have been released, and they have called back and said that they're getting back in school.
Oh,
And I've had a
wow.
couple to call back and say that they finished, they did get their GEDs, and so we're trying to get in like technical schools and stuff.
Oh, that is so awesome. I know it has to be rewarding.
It is because, like I say, on certain levels, that lets me know that somewhere, maybe, and some have even voiced this, that in their educational journey, that it wasn't positive
Okay.
for them. So they would get in trouble, or, one thing led to another, and
Is there something do you think that, let's say I was a parent or if I was a teacher and I had a young person out there, is there something you think that just from talking to them with this experience, with your experience, is there something that you think we could do to maybe reach them? Have you found anything that you did, like you said, that it wasn't a negative, it was a negative experience for them in school? So we wanted to do, is there something that we can do? Let's say I'm a parent and because I want to see, is there anything that I can do before they get
oh
there,
yeah,
before it's
oh
too
yeah.
late? It's
I
hard.
I always, when I was in the schools system, I would just always
Okay.
encourage my parents to be involved, because you
Okay.
are your child's first advocate. I mean, you're your child's advocate. You have to you have to know what's going on in your child's life.
And it should start when they're young too.
Yes,
You
yes,
can't wait till they're ninth grade
yes,
and
yes. Before they even step foot in a school. And it's just about building relationships,
with the principal, with your teachers.
because you are part of that puzzle, and you have a right to go into your child's school and know what's going on, and principals and teachers want that. They
Okay.
want you to come in because it's a partnership.
And for us especially, I think we make up a very high number of the prison population. Can you speak on the health? But I don't know if I said this correctly, but that pipeline, they said from the school system to the prison or the pipeline. And I know they said like if at a certain
At a
grade, if
certain,
they're not reading by
usually by
the
third grade level,
that they're gonna end up in prison.
they usually by third grade, if they're not on grade level as far
Mhm.
as their reading, anything after that, they're going to struggle, and because the
Mhm.
work is going to get harder, and for some children, if they don't focus on that, they're going to be distracted, and if they're not
Mhm.
being successful, then they're going to go, veer to the way of getting in trouble, getting the wrong
Mhm.
kind of attention. And that can go on and on and on until they can possibly drop out of school themselves. And they
Mhm.
don't have to, you know,
Have to deal with that, and of course,
and if they don't have those skills, and if they don't have anyone surrounding them to help lift them or to keep pushing them, then they're going to fall into the other side,
mhm.
and where they figure out a negative way to succeed or to survive, rather.
I'm thinking of that all the time. As but I'm thinking of the opposite. Like they always talking about these drug dealers and these big time drug dealers. But the life skills and the stuff But they have to know if they only do that positively,
Exactly.
you know, so it works both
It does. It
ways. It's
does.
like you got all this knowledge, you're smart, you're doing
Yeah.
stuff, you're counting this money, you're I want to
Exactly.
cutting that,
Yes.
but measuring stuff.
Well, I mean, because I have teacher aides
Okay.
in my classroom who are offenders.
Okay, I didn't know that. Oh, awesome. So once they
So,
learn, they
yes.
teach others. I bet there's a feeling about that.
Yeah. Because they
Pride.
can break it down in ways that I can't just like that.
Okay.
And so I hear the examples and that they
Are
can
you
relate to.
serious?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
because it makes sense because they put it in their words and their terms. And I can see their light bulbs going up there and like, oh, okay.
That you're doing this, you're just doing it with something different.
Exactly.
That is so
Yeah, because you're
awesome.
already doing math, but you're
Yes.
doing it not 1 + 1 over here.
It's not about
Yes,
bubble gums or anything like that.
exactly.
Oh, it's awesome. So I'm so glad that you got to tell people about this program. And like I said, there's so many of us who know people in prison. If you have a little son, nephew, a niece, or anybody, a daughter, you don't know about this program. I don't know all prisons heaven, but you don't know unless you do the research. So encourage them to go and get their GED or whatever that is offered for their
Oh, just,
growth and for them
yes,
not to go back.
exactly.
So, but Denise, I thank you for being here. But I was here with my question. You guys know it. But what do you want your legacy to be, Dr. Denise Perryman?
Um, I, I would like for my legacy to be a life of service to our community. And I think that if we all just look at how can we make our communities, our surroundings better for each other, I
Okay.
think the world will be in a much better place.
Thank you. I think so too. All right. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you in the next